What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another video. Now, today, right here, pinned comment across here, I got recommended to watch Modern Warfare Season 5 remastered, kind of a reloaded soundtrack. So we're going to be breaking that down, we're going to be reacting to that, we're going to be listening to it. So there's a lot of percussion. There's a lot of bass that's happening right now. 39 seconds, call it 40 minutes into the soundtrack, and we've got quite a bit. The bells, there's a lot of bells going on, a lot of chimes going on, some small little percussion. Then we have the actual percussion. But to me, it feels like a Middle Eastern war. Like you're at the Middle East and you're fighting, and this is the theme. I haven't played Modern Warfare 2 Remastered. I just heard that it got quite bad reviews. So I would be quite interested in obviously it's for Warzone, but where do you hear this theme? At what point in Warzone do you hear this theme? But let's just run it up. Got 7 minutes of this stuff. Got some tremolo strings coming into effect in the background as well. We've got some vocals that are by women vocals coming into an effect as well into this. So there's a lot happening, and it's not even a minute. Then the male vocals come in here. We got some 808 hats onto the left-hand side of the mix. I'm hearing it more clearly on the headphones. The reason why I got some headphones is because I realised watching my reactions back after you guys posting and recommended, I started listening back and started to notice stuff through headphones differently through speakers. Now I've got a surround sound system that I'm listening, but I used to listen to these reactions, but it would be better suited for headphones. So in the left hand side, like hard pan to the left, that is just going on, and that's so cool. So as the bells, as the normal percussion's happening, panned right to the left and just quite within the mix is so it just feels like some 808 hi-hats just slapping into the fold of this mix. It's very representative of Middle Eastern theme right now. Like this is giving Middle Eastern vibes, kind of like Egyptian vibes, in the sounding. The instrumentation is purposeful. I'm just looking at the art of this. It is representative of that. Let's continue. So we have kind of a short sustain, violin number 2, I think it is. We also have, what I find interesting about this composition is that it repeats, the hi-hats repeat itself. Like, it repeats itself um, over and over and over again. But it's not enough where it gets in the way of the score. So but it's constantly over it. Then the percussion pans out. Not pans out, but it just cuts. It comes off. It goes away. Then we get the violins, and then we just have this little interesting like motif. Yeah, yeah, but it's building tension. They're adding in so much modern age to this. There's some 808 acting as bass. Then we get so much just one kind of octaves, one note, just repeating over and over. But it's so good. It's adding to to it. You know, they're paying so much homage to the Middle East. So much area of this is being covered, and it's so good. The way that they're positioning as well, like you can kind of even predict the metronome, there, like you can predict it start to like happen. The soundtrack's really good at the moment. I would call this soundtrack very modern. Got the 808s acting as the boom boom boom. Then we have the I thought it was a piano. That's why I had to listen very close. I thought it was a piano to say ting, ting, but no, it's a string. It honestly feels like it's just a one string, even very little on the bow, just a light, gentle movement to it on the bow. So it's I am quite intrigued about the soundtrack. We also get the reveal of what that string is doing, because once we get out of this way, that keeps on playing. Cowbell. That's snare then. A kick. So we're getting a kick, not even halfway over the soundtrack, and we're getting a kick. We're getting full like hip hop here, very poppy vibes. We get the reveal of what that little violin meant. We get that reveal. Then he goes in, and a sound effect that was playing in the beginning, but it was underneath all the layers, begins to emerge. It begins to have its own life, and the just it's a sound unto itself. So what they're doing with this what I find interesting is that they're just pitching the frequencies with this. It starts off with the main sound. So it creates that, and then they're just copy and pasting that over. You begin like just listen to the pitch, listen to it. But there's a little like cool effect that they've got. You know what I mean? That, but it's like a kind of an effect that they got that is fitting in the frequency of that, and then it makes sense for that to be panned that way. But it's also adding into that kind of spyness nature of this game, kind of the spy thriller, the kind of nuance of a military combat. Even though Call of Duty's gone a bit like extreme with it, but it's kind of paying homage to previous Call of Duties in the sense that it's a lot of creeping up on people, that type of stuff, especially in the old Modern Warfares. Right, we need a wind, and we need to see how they introduce this, because this is so far-fetched. In a good way, ladies and gentlemen. In a good way. What I mean is that just came out of left field. I'm a sucker to a good synth. I'm a sucker to a good synth. It's definitely paying that homage to modern musical techniques. That's a synthesizer. That's a kind of pulsy synth bass just played on a higher octave, and that just came out. That just came in. Boom. Pause. That came out of left field. You know. That's so interesting. I like the sound, by the way. It does sound a bit strange though, fitting in with this theme. Let's just see where they take it. Okay, it's using as that shield to build up, because there's a build up now. Like it's all starting to rise, so we're building to something. There's some instrumentation that's doing a lot of work for the synth to make sense, because it's such a strange sound synth that it's such a strange sounding synth that it almost doesn't fit in this. They introduce it. The reason why I think the composer introduced it was to get the audience to kind of get used to this synth. So when the build up happens, and we're proper adding the kick, the snare, the hi-hats, a little bit, that sound, which is kind of the main motif. But there's a lot of work that the bass, the percussion, and the motifs, because there's kind of two motifs. You got this weird bass sound, then you have the also kind of weird sound effects that's going on. Once again, let's just see where they take it, because right now we're kind of building up into like a third act score here. So are they going to loop it back around, Somehow they're gonna loop it back around. I mean, it would be easy to loop around because all of these instruments, apart from the synth, a lot of these instruments were at the start. Also a bit of a rock feel as well. There's a guitar in there, and you know that's doing a lot of the work for the synth as well. Wait a minute, they're just adding in a piano. Let's rewind that. Let's rewind that. Let's break this down. They added a piano. I'm guessing it's to soften what's there's like a fake out. A pump fake, then it's kind of like, oh, enjoy the piano, then oh, we get this nice sound, and bum 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 bum. It's such a nice sounding piano as well. They're adding in okay, so the introduction to this now is the kind of the Middle Eastern feel that was at so long ago. It feels like, but it was at the beginning of the soundtrack. So they're adding that to layer this piano. Such a good choice. Strings coming back in with this. Yep. It's building up. The piano's getting more aggressive in tone. Bass coming in. A synth bass. Archie, down! The strings sound so prominent. They're adding in the effect of like an action movie. Just off in the background of the mix. I wonder if that's going to be more prominent. The reason why I was letting it play out was because I wanted to see where they were going to take it. It was all a build up to this moment. This moment here, this last minute and something is a build up. This is what this whole theme was represented of. And it was so creative. We get the piano. Then we get like a Middle Eastern vibe. Then we get some strings to accompany that vibe. Then we get some little sound effects here and there. Then we get some risers, and it starts off slow. It all builds up to being really aggressive. Then it's they use that motif that's always repeating at certain points. yeah, and then we get that's all of this is a lead up to that, and it's well, like, it's so modern and it's done very well. Let's let's listen to it. I'm gonna listen, but let's listen to the build up. Pay attention to how they structure this build up. Let's apply it to our own music. Let's apply this build up, these rises, these tension building, because we would need, as aspiring composers, that's what we would need to do. By the way, that guitar that was been lurking in the mix for all of this soundtrack is now getting the shine. This is that guitar. Then we're gonna get the bass, the kick. It's all gonna build up. Let's see this through. Let's see this through. Still building. Still building. So it still at the end gives off this lone wolf feeling. Couple of words, ladies and gentlemen. Mixing is really important, because not one point through all the dynamic changes that this soundtrack represents, not represents, but like that goes through with all the dynamic changes and the integration of certain motifs and certain themes that get spread out through this 7 minute and 41 track. Not 1 minute does it peak, not 1 minute does it seem out of place, out of balance. It seems on point with the metronome, it seems on point with the BPM. It looks like a composer was tasked and it completed. It was all a build up to that. Even the techniques of the open hi-hats, just having the dynamic constant, like starts off low, then it goes high, high, high. That's all dynamics. The amount of amps they were using as well. It all seems like it was well calculated. So when we're applying our next composition, make sure there's dynamics, expression, but mixing. Make sure that it doesn't peak. Make sure that you have so many compressors. Make sure that you learn. We all learn mixing, because I think our soundtracks would be better off for it. But ladies and gentlemen, that's just my opinion. Post down in the comments down below what you think about this soundtrack. Recommend me a soundtrack to react. And make sure you subscribe, leave a like, and comment down below. Bye bye.